There was an idea to bring together a group of remarkable people.
We could become something more.
So when they needed us, we could fight the battles.
Mutants are very real, and they are among us. We must know who they are, and above all, what they can do.
Good evening. My name is Sebastian Shaw. And I am not here to hurt you.
Breathe!
Azazel. My friends, there's a revolution coming when mankind discovers who we are, what we can do. Each of us will face a choice. Choose freely, but know that if you are not with us, then by definition, you are against us. So, you can stay and fight for the people who hate and fear you, or you can join me and live like kings. And queens.
Come on. We don't belong here. And that's nothing to be ashamed of.
We wondered what beings from another world would look like. And then, at the moment of being, we learned they were just like us.
He doesn't even look like Mr. Spock.
We have come because we need your help. Our planet is in serious environmental difficulty.
Their purpose on Earth, to save their dying world. The visitors desperately needed to import manufactured chemicals not found on their planet.
And in return, we will gladly share with you all the fruits of our labor.
It became a kid's dream to sign up with the Visitor Youth Corps. They earned our friendship, and sometimes even more. The visitors became a welcome addition to our lives. They were here to stay. Mike Donovan and his colleague Christine Walsh became the celebrated T News crew to cover visitor affairs. But one night, aboard the mothership, Donovan made a startling discovery.
The operation is working perfectly.
The visitors were lying. They were not like us. They were not our friends. Donovan rushed back to get his hot story on network television. But before the broadcast, the visitors commandeered the airwaves.
What do I do, Lord?
Destroy the child. Corrupt them all.
This is their plan, people. These are demons. Just like the Bible says, it's basically an intergalactic invasion into this space through people.
Rests with the annihilation of consciousness. We have been lulled into a trance. They have made us indifferent to ourselves, to others. We are focused only on our own gain.
I'm telling you, it's what all the ancients said. It's what they warned.
Relevant today, I ask you, what are we? Who are we?
Well, we are Americans. We share common hopes, we share common dreams, we share common aspirations. We're going through common struggles. I mean, the fact of the matter is that everybody here, and I look at this audience and it's representative of the country, everybody here is connected in some fashion. And our success and our children's success is tied up together. And so I think most Americans feel that way. Mm-hmm. But what is still true is that there's still kind of a reptilian side of our brain, right? That part of our brain that if somebody looks different or sounds different, that there's a part of us that is cautious.
The alien spokesman, John, announced to the world that Mike Donovan was a threat to society.
Alex Jones. Alex Jones.
Name Alex Jones.
Alex Jones.
Alex Jones.
Alex Jones.
Alex Jones. Alex Jones. Alex Jones.
Alex Jones.
Alex Jones.
Alex Jones is a lunatic.
As was anyone who questioned the visitor's mission of peace and universal friendship. Donovan tried to tell Christine.
Mike, I work so closely with these people every day.
You don't believe me, do you?
Reptilian with tongues that...
It's all true. I've seen it, Chris.
Donovan's mother couldn't be convinced.
That's the most outrageous story I've ever heard.
He became a fugitive. The aliens were determined to kill him before he spread the truth. But soon more people began rebelling against the Visitor's stranglehold. However, anyone who tried to escape was taken prisoner. One person did listen to Donovan.
Why don't you tell us what you know?
Juliet Parrish and her small group of resistors were the first not to doubt his incredible story.
And the goal of these shadow people? Nothing less than an Orwellian global superstate with total control at the hands of an ancient reptilian shape-shifting race. So we took a ferry to the Isle of Wight to spend the day with David Icke, Britain's leading conspiracy evangelist and the one man standing between us and total enslavement. But Icke wouldn't disappear. He began to write. And over a series of increasingly successful books, he began to outline his philosophy. Humankind was not in charge of its destiny. It was the unwitting prisoner of a race of shape-shifting lizards who occupied the roles in the highest echelons of society. From presidents to royal families, all trusted public figures were secretly part of a reptilian, Satanist pedophile group who had been on this planet for centuries.
Believe me.
Juliet had a plan for the group to fight back.
We have to arm ourselves.
They tried their best, but were forced to retreat. Donovan was caught and taken to see the alien commander, Diana.
You'll soon have no more worries, Mr. Donovan.
Diana had special plans to brainwash Donovan herself. But a few of the aliens were different and wanted to see Donovan escape. He first needed a weapon and a uniform.
You sure don't look like an iguana.
What?
Bad taste.
These aliens knew Donovan could help them in return.
Some of us, a very few of us, just don't believe in what our leader's doing.
We are about to do battle for the Lord, and we're going to take back our country.
Martin, an alien turncoat rebel, revealed the Visitor's earthly mission. It was not to fill the mothership tanks with special chemicals.
You are here to take the water. You are here to take the water.
What do I do, Lord?
Destroy the child. Corrupt them all.
This is their plan, people. These are demons. It's basically an intergalactic invasion into this space through people. I'm telling you, it's what all the ancients said, it's what they warned of, it's what we're dealing with. They're demons. They're frickin' interdimensional invaders, okay? I'll just say it, make fun of me all you want on CNN or wherever, but everyone already innately knows this. These people are not frickin' humans, okay? Hillary Clinton is a goddamn demon!
Time is running out for those who know the truth. They must expose the Visitor's secret enterprise, but the resistance force is surrounded by alien armies, and more are on their way. For Donovan and Julie, these may be their final days together, and the final days of man on Earth. Donovan must face the aliens to free his son from the mothership, and Diana is waiting for him to try. A war where the prize is our planet, pitting mother against son, neighbor
I'm warning you.
against neighbor, and allies against each other.
No!
A war where one baby's birth is the most anxiously awaited moment in history. One baby's birth is the most anxiously awaited moment in history.
Damien! Look at me, Damien! It's all for you! What's wrong, sweetie? It's just a church, that's all.
She's sick.
As cold as ice. There's something about Damien.
I was at the hospital the night your son was born.
What do you know about my son?
Everything.
He bears a birthmark, a sequence of sixes.
From the eternal sea he rises, creating armies on either shore, turning man against his brother, till man exists no more. Your son, the son of the devil. No. The son of the devil. No.
A war where everything you can imagine happens.
Do you know why you're here, Evie Hammond?
You're being formally charged with treason, terrorism, and sedition, the penalty for which is death by firing squad. You have one chance, and only one chance, to save your life. You must tell us the identity or whereabouts of Codename V. Do you understand what I'm telling you?
Yes.
Are you ready to cooperate?
No.
The truth is, there is something terribly wrong with this country.
Excuse me, miss.
I'm sorry.
Not yet, you're not, but you will be.
The only verdict is vengeance. A vendetta. If our own government was responsible for the deaths of 100,000 people, wipe them out. All of them. What you really want to know?
You're getting back at them for what they did to you.
Fear became the ultimate tool of this government.
I want everyone to remember why they need us.
I wish I wasn't afraid all the time.
People should not be afraid of their governments. The government should be afraid of their people. This is exactly what he wants. Chaos.
And I'm here to tell you, 1776 will commence again if you try to take our firearms. Doesn't matter how many lemmings you get out there on the street begging for them to have their guns taken. We will not relinquish them. Do you understand? That's why you're going to fail. The establishment knows no matter how much propaganda, the Republic will rise again when you attempt to take our guns.
I'm living in that 21st century, doing something mean to it. Do it better than anybody you ever seen do it. Screams from the haters, got a nice ring to it. I guess every superhero need his theme music. No one man should have all that power. No one man should have all that power.
The elite are all about transcendence and living forever and the secrets of the universe, and they want to know all this. Some are good, some are bad, some are a mix. But the good ones don't ever want to organize. The bad ones tend to want to organize because they lust after power. Powerful consciousnesses don't want to dominate other people. They want to empower them, so they don't tend to get together until things are really late in the game. Then they come together. Evil's always defeated because good is so much stronger. And we're on this planet, and Einstein's physics showed it, Max Planck's physics showed it all. There's at least 12 dimensions. And now that's why all the top scientists and billionaires are coming out saying it's a false hologram. It is artificial. The computers are scanning it and finding tension points where it's artificially projected and gravity's bleeding in to this universe. That's what they call dark matter. So we're like a thought or a dream that's a wisp in some computer program, some God's mind, whatever. They're proving it all. It's all coming out. Now, there's like this sub-transmission zone below the third dimension that's just turned over to the most horrible things is what it resonates to. And it's trying to get up into the third dimension that's just a basic level consciousness to launch into the next levels. And our species is already way up in the fifth, sixth dimension, consciously our best people. But there's this big war trying to like basically destroy humanity because humanity has free will and there's a decision to which level we want to go to. We have free will, so evil's allowed to come and contend, not just good. And the elites themselves believe they're racing using human technology to try to take our best minds and build some type of breakaway civilization where they're going to merge with machines, transcend, and break away from the failed species that is man, which is kind of like a false transmission because they're thinking what they are is ugly and bad, projecting it onto themselves instead of believing, no, it's a human test about building us up.
For 130,000 years, our capacity for reason has remained unchanged. The combined intellect of the neuroscientists, engineers, mathematicians pales in comparison to even the most basic AI. Once online, a sentient machine will quickly overcome the limits of biology. In a short time, its analytical power will be greater than the collective intelligence of every person born in the history of the world. Some scientists refer to this as the singularity. I call it transcendence.
This is where Ava was created. Go ahead, take a look. If you knew the trouble I had getting an AI to read and duplicate facial expressions, you know how I cracked it? I don't know how you did any of this. Every cell phone, just about, has a microphone, camera, and a means to transmit data. So I turned on every microphone and camera across the entire fucking planet.
People suspect their phones are eavesdropping on their conversations.
If you think about it, your smartphone's almost always connected to the internet, and it's got microphones.
Phones are really snitches in their pockets.
And I redirected the data through Blue Book. Boom. Limitless resource, vocal and facial interaction.
You hacked the world's cell phones?
Yeah, and all the manufacturers knew I was doing it too. But they couldn't accuse me without admitting they were doing it themselves. Here, we have her mind. Structured gel. I had to get away from circuitry. I needed something that could arrange and rearrange on a molecular level, but keep its form when required. Holding for memories, shifting for thoughts.
This is your hardware?
Wetware.
And the software?
I'm sure you can guess.
Blue Book.
Here's the weird thing about search engines. It's like striking oil in a world that hadn't invented internal combustion. Too much raw material. Nobody knew what to do with it.
The reason I think we really didn't sell the company was that we talked to all the search companies at the time, and they just weren't interested in what we were doing. And so, and it was obviously like, didn't want to buy this company that didn't really have anything without the people. So they wanted us, but we were like, well, why are we going to work at this place that doesn't believe in search?
But we were like, well, why are we going to work at this place that doesn't believe in search?
Yeah, that's not going to cause anything good to happen. But I think ultimately for me, it was just about wanting to actually, search seemed pretty important. It was about actually wanting to do something in that area. And it didn't seem like that was going to happen in these organizations.
You see, my competitors, they were fixated on sucking it up and monetizing via shopping and social media. They thought that search engines were a map of what people were thinking, but actually they were a map of how people were thinking. Impulse, response, fluid, imperfect, patterned, chaotic.
Stop. Ava, I said stop. Whoa. I told you you're doing stuff. Stop.
so Google was set up 18, 19 years ago. I knew about this before it was declassified. I'm just saying I have good sources, that they wanted to build a giant artificial system. And Google believes that the first artificial intelligence will be a supercomputer based on the neuron activities of the hive mind of humanity, with billions of people wired into it with the Internet of Things. And so all of our thoughts go into it, and we're actually building a computer that has real neurons in real time, that's also psychically connected to us, that are organic creatures, so that they will have current prediction powers, future prediction powers, a true crystal ball. But the big secret is, once you have a crystal ball and know the future, you can add stimuli beforehand and make decisions that control the future. And so then it's the end of consciousness and free will for individuals, as we know, and a true 2.0 in a very bad way, hive mind consciousness with an AI jacked into everyone, knowing our hopes and dreams, delivering it to us, not in some PKD wirehead system where we plug in and give up on consciousness because of unlimited pleasure, but because we were already wired in and absorbed before we knew it, by giving over our consciousness to this system by our daily decisions that it was able to manipulate and control into a larger system. There's now a human counterstrike taking place to shut this off before it gets fully into place, and to block these systems, and to try to have an actual debate about where humanity goes, and cut off the pedophiles and psychic vampires that are control of this AI system before humanity's destroyed.
Wait a minute,
humanity
the pedophiles
is only
in control of AI? How'd the pedophiles get in control of AI?
No, that's the oldest Perry Mason tactic, to ask me some little factoid. The pedophiles at a whatever level,
rule.
The devil, whatever you want to call it, this interdimensional thing that gives them advanced off-world technology, the fallen one that's not of this world, is giving them advanced knowledge on how to construct these systems that have already been used. Is giving them advanced knowledge on how to construct these systems that have already been used before on other populations.
What?
Is that Satan?
But what are you talking about?
That's Satan.
But explain that. You're saying
Satan
something
becomes
insane.
something that the stupid preacher tells you about, who's totally controlled, or something you read about on in the news or TV.
Right.
But this is an interdimensional force that wants to influence us to build something that absorbs us and kills us, rather than the divine free will we're given to build something much better that empowers the species. So the species is now making a decision about its entire future.
Where are you getting this from?
That's what it is.
Where are you getting this from?
That's what it is.
Before time began, there was the cube. We know not where it comes from, only that it holds the power to create worlds and fill them with life. That is how our race was born. For a time we lived in harmony, but like all great power, some wanted it for good, others for evil. And so began the war. A war that ravaged our planet until it was consumed by death. And the cube was lost to the far reaches of space. We scattered across the galaxy, hoping to find it and rebuild our home, searching every star, every world. And just when all hope seemed lost, message of a new discovery drew us to an unknown planet called Earth. But we were already too late.
But where are you getting it from?
I know, from looking at all the data, researching it, studying it, watching the enemy. That's the big decision that humanity has now got before us.
So if you were directing someone to investigate this on their own, how would they do that? So if you say...
Well, I mean, here's the problem. You get someplace finally in deep research where it's what every culture already said, what everybody already knew, what they're telling you in movies like Prometheus, what the elite admit in the New York Times they believe in is this, seeded by off-world systems.
Panspermia.
Yeah.
A king has his reign, and then he dies. It's inevitable.
Prometheus has landed.
civilizations that were separated by centuries, and yet this same pictogram was discovered in every one of them.
You're smiling.
I think they want us to come and find them.
We're all here because of a map you two kids found in a cave.
Not a map. An invitation.
From whom?
Please tell me you can read that.
Whatever that probe is picking up, it's reading life form.
What do you mean a life form?
Oh, the head. They're changing.
Changing into what? It's moving? These things moving?
What is that?
There's a ship.
They're leaving.
To go where?
Earth.
We were so wrong. Take us home! If you don't stop it, there won't be any home to go back to.
Why is that door open?
Cut it off! Cut it
Everything they're doing points towards this, and then you read their own writings. They believe we're this ugly, fallen, ugly species. We're all need to be killed. They're the rich billionaires who are better than us, and they're going to merge with machines and become gods and go to the next level.
But don't you think that most people who extrapolate from where we stand today with our cell phones and our Apple Watches and our integration with the computer and the internet constantly, don't you think that most people see that there's going to be some sort of symbiotic connection?
Yes, but
it's a very easy thing to
They were
make.
saying it before.
I understand, but a lot of people were saying it before.
Here's the problem.
But
Who engineered what we were given? Who engineered what we were given? Who engineered what we were given? What is the point of the back doors, the Trojan horses? Here's what I'm getting at.
Who engineered what?
Here's what I'm telling you. The elite, the elite literally believe interdimensionally they were given this information and then built it. And here's the thing. They built it. And Google admits, even in data dumps to Wired 2 years ago, that they're building an AI that will end human consciousness, free will, and take over, and the next species will rise out of that. They've already decided our species.
But people have been talking. Marshall McLuhan was talking about that 50 fucking years ago.
Here's the deal. They built it. Amazon 2 years ago admits they can already, with 99% certainty, pick what their regular users are going to order
But Alex,
before they
hold
order
on a
it and have it
second.
ready.
Instead of dragging this out to some nefarious end, isn't it entirely possible that all these futurists, all these technological innovators, they all see the same end game? That there's going to be some sort of a complete integration between people
But it's
and
beyond that. It's
artificial
beyond that. It's beyond
intelligence.
that.
Did you see Ex Machina?
I did not.
How dare you? That's an amazing movie. I saw it twice. I think I saw it 3 times. It's really good. I mean, it is a very balanced take on potential artificial intelligence and someone making it.
I should see it.
Really well made movie. But you see the sort of, I don't want to give away too much of it, but you see the struggle in these things as this guy is interacting with these things. And you see the struggle as they're trying to interpret what they are versus what he is.
But they are in bodies, right? They're like robots?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got to wonder, like, what, I mean, Elon Musk is terrified of this shit, right? I mean, he said that we might be summoning the demon. That's his exact quote. And then transhumanism was probably my favorite episode because I got to talk to guys like Ray Kurzweil and talk to more like scientists and people who are involved in actual real work as opposed to people who are claiming to see Bigfoot or claiming to see UFOs or things that may or might not be real. The really interesting stuff to me was the science stuff, the stuff where we kind of explored the potential for humanity and our symbiotic relationship with technology.
Historically, everybody saw this coming.
Right.
And so this big battle.
All the futurists, all the people that study the future.
Before silicon chips were created. The point
Marshall McLuhan, I think it was in the 1970s, said that human beings are the sex organs of the machine world. And he was saying, even back then, that human beings are eventually going to integrate or become something that's a part of
But what I'm telling
machines.
you is there's a centralized system of what they're building that isn't naturally occurring.
Who is they?
And we're artificially
Who's
early.
they?
The elites believe they're getting off-world,
All right, but who's
interdimensional.
building these things that you're just describing right now?
I mean, if you actually read what all the globalists say, you've obviously read their writings, you know this, Joe. They are getting not off-world, but interdimensional communications to then build this system that we see lowers our IQ, makes us live less.
I've never
makes us
seen.
unhappy.
Okay, but when you're making these big statements, like they're getting interdimensional signals is telling them to create these systems that lower IQs. That's something you got to really prove. Like if there's please, if there's something you can show us.
All the studies show screen time, all the computers lowering IQs, lowering fertility, lowering our health. Okay,
let me stop you right there. Is that a case? Is that a case of somebody holding a gun to your head? Let me tell you about me. I'm addicted to this goddamn thing. I love watching YouTube videos. I love taking pictures of shit. I love looking things up. It
interfaces you with humanity. It does a lot of beautiful things.
It does, but I'll tell you, they're very addictive. They're very addictive.
Well,
but hold on a second. Let me stop you right there. I don't necessarily think that's engineered to be addictive. I think it's engineered to be really well, and work really well, and the fact that it works really well is very addictive. Just like little kids look at a screen. You put a fucking television in front of them when they're 1 year old and play some stupid commercial, and they're like, "Whoa!"
But Joe, they picked a frequency.
But hold on a second. No, they did not. No,
they picked a frequency.
But hold on a second. No, they did not. No, they made better. Hold on a second. They made better and better technology that we're not designed to absorb. Human beings have the exact same DNA. We have the exact same DNA that we did 10,000 years ago.
The Atlantean
back
moment.
When there was nothing, did 10,000 years ago.
The Atlantean
back
moment.
When there was nothing like television, there was nothing like movies, there was nothing like stereo headphones and project
but
music.
Listen, don't
Hold on,
you
please. I
already
let you go on your crazy
seem
rant.
like it's
Hold
happened before?
on, please. You're interrupting my crazy rant. I'm telling you that this is a natural progression of this massive infatuation that we have with technology. They don't have to engineer it. It's natural. It happens to you. It happens to me.
They say they're
it happens to anybody who's looking at cooler and cooler special effects in movies. All that stuff is a natural thing.
And Steve Jobs wouldn't let his kids play with an iPad.
Well, then he's a cunt. He's a cunt. Let your kids play with the goddamn
Joe,
iPad.
what I'm telling you is,
what the fuck's wrong with him?
That was a great rant. I'm not disagreeing with you.
No, you interrupted it 10 times, you fuck. You got to let a motherfucker rant.
Okay, I'll let you rant. Go ahead and rant then.
I'm done now. Shit.
Yeah, but you're sitting there. But hold on, let me get back to this.
We're not talking about the weather, Eddie. I'll tell you that right now.
Let me tell you right now. Yeah, let me tell you right now.
Fuck clouds.
Let me tell you. I'm trying to break this down. The whole thing is being set up to control.
Okay, what I'm telling you is when you're talking about the elites and interdimensional signals that they're receiving that are telling us to lower our IQ, you can't just say that.
We need proof.
Okay, let me give you proof.
That sounds so crazy, by the way.
Let me hear you.
Yeah. Oh, that sounds so crazy. I want to know where the aliens are.
The proof.
Are they on Earth?
Hey, you know what? It's really cool to say, no, hey, maybe we're in a computer simulation. Everybody talks about that. Everyone says, dude, the latest science says.
You're not.
No, but
they're saying
people
that to
believe
make you
that
think you're not.
Easily. Hey, people go, yeah, we're in a computer simulation. But then when you talk about interdimensional, like magical shit,
Destiny still arrives. In time, you will know what it's like to lose.
Evacuate the city. Engage all defenses.
Fun isn't something one considers when balancing the universe. But there's nowhere to hide, Peter. Still a smile on my face.
You'll never defeat the human spirit. You'll never defeat God. You'll never win.
Who the hell are you guys?
This is a human. This is what we look